Hey everyone, welcome back to the Incredible India podcast series. I'm Sam.
And I'm Taylor. It's great to be back.
And as always, I'm here with Taylor, who has this amazing ability to take a pile of old maps and records and just make them tell a story.
Well, today we've got a really compelling one. We're taking a deep dive into a place that's full of contradictions, Old Goa.
Right. And our mission for this deep dive is to basically walk through an abandoned capital, a city that was once called the Rome of the East.
An absolute powerhouse.
A powerhouse.
Yes.
And then it just went silent. We've been looking at all these sources on its, incredible rise and its really mysterious abandonment. We want to figure out why a city that big, that powerful, wasn't destroyed in a war or anything. It was just
left. People just walked away.
Yeah.
And that's the hook, isn't it? If you go there today, what hits you is the silence, this profound, deliberate quiet.
Yeah.
But you have to remember, back in the 16th century, this was one of the richest cities on the planet. I mean, people were comparing it directly to Lisbon in its prime.
So it's not just about what's there now.
No, it's about understanding the absence. What could possibly make an empire give up on its crown jewel?
Okay, let's start there. The rise. How did Old Goa become the Rome of the East so incredibly fast? The location on the Mandovi River seems key, but it feels like more than that.
The location was definitely a huge advantage, but the sources point to a really clever three-pronged strategy. You see, a port city back then couldn't just be a port.
What do you mean?
To really thrive, you had to control three things at once. The trade routes, of course, but also taxation, and this is the crucial part, the religious authority.
That religious authority piece, I feel like that gets overlooked. We always hear about the spices in the ships.
But it was the bedrock. Think about it, establishing this massive religious headquarters, with the Inquisition, the huge missionary orders. That wasn't just about converting people.
It was an economic decision.
It was a massive economic investment. The church provided the legal framework. It standardized commerce. It enforced loyalty. It basically made the city a safe bet for huge amounts of money.
So the faith stabilized the finances.
It did. You need that kind of ideological control to justify the kind of taxes they were charging on all that trade.
And the trade itself was just on another level. The sources we found describe a truly global hub. We're not just talking regional stuff.
No, not at all. You have ships coming in from Africa, from Arabia, from all over Europe. It was constant.
And the streets were apparently just flowing with spices, textiles, precious metals.
Yeah.
And also, we have to mention the trade in enslaved people, which was a huge, if brutal, part of its economy.
Absolutely. That whole machine, that massive flow of wealth, is what cemented its reputation. It became this incredible center for administration, for commerce, and for missionary work.
It's so deceptive when you visit today, though.
It really is.
You see these gigantic churches, but they're separated by these huge grassy lawns. It feels spacious, almost sleepy.
But the archaeology tells a different story. What's left is just a tiny fraction of the original city. Those huge distances between buildings, they hint at how dense it once was.
So we should imagine all those empty spaces just packed with houses and shops and people.
Packed, we're talking about a proper metropolis, maybe, hundreds of thousands of people at its peak.
Wow. Okay, so with all that wealth, they obviously poured it into their architecture. And these buildings, they weren't just churches, were they?
Oh, not at all. They were statements. The sources are really clear on this. They were designed to project power, to project European authority in a land that was not their own.
You feel that when you stand in front of the Basilica of Bom Jesus or the Say Cathedral. It's just immense.
It is, and that's a key part of the colonial strategy. Architectural historians point out that the scale, the perfect symmetry, the sheer amount of ornamentation, it was all meant to be a tool.
A tool for what?
A tool of ideological dominance. They were built to awe you, to instruct you, and ultimately to convert you. The buildings themselves were meant to communicate this idea of sort of unquestionable permanent power.
And you see that in the details, too, like the Golden Bell at the Say Cathedral is supposedly one of the biggest in the world.
Exactly. It was an announcement of power you could hear across the city.
But they were also building in a tropical climate, which must have been a challenge.
A huge challenge. And this is where it gets really interesting, technically. The sources show this kind of duality in the materials they used.
How so?
Well, for the core of the buildings, they used laterite stone. It was local, it was cheap, it was easy to quarry. A very practical choice.
But laterite is that reddish porous stone, right? You can't just leave it exposed to the monsoon.
Precisely. So to get that smooth, white, very European look and to protect the stone, they covered everything in these thick layers of lime plaster.
Ah, I see. So it's European style, but with local guts.
That's a perfect way to put it. It's an architectural compromise that still shouts dominance.
And the layout of the city itself wasn't random either. You mentioned they were placed to dominate the sightlines.
They were very strategically. If you look at the old city plans, the biggest churches are always at the end of these long, wide avenues. So wherever you were, wherever you walked, the church and the state were just looming over you.
The city itself was a stage.
A meticulously designed stage for empire. The religious processions, the public ceremonies, it was all choreographed to weave religion right into the fabric of daily life.
Okay, so we've got this city that's a marvel of wealth, engineering, and power. But we know how it ends. It feels like they could conquer trade and stone, but not the environment.
That's the tragic irony of it all. It was a classic case of failure in urban planning. For all its wealth, the city was built in the wrong place.
But hold on, this was one of the richest cities on Earth. They built cathedrals to rival Lisbon's. Couldn't they just fix it, throw money at the problem, build better drainage, something?
That's the crucial question. And the evidence suggests it was a kind of political and engineering exhaustion. The city is on low-lying, marshy ground. It gets hit by massive monsoons every single year.
So poor drainage and stagnant water everywhere.
Constantly. They built this incredible economic engine, but they never solved the most basic environmental problem. It became a massive citywide breeding ground for mosquitoes and disease.
Which the colonial records are full of. I mean, we read about repeated, horrible outbreaks of malaria, cholera, plague.
Over and over again. And the beautiful architecture couldn't stop any of it.
So this fits into a bigger historical pattern then.
It fits perfectly. Historical geographers have these urban decline models, and Old Goa is a textbook case. It shows that slow environmental stress and disease are often way more effective at killing a city than a sudden war.
Because people just leave.
The people with options leave, the wealthy, the administrators, the powerful. Once a city becomes chronically unlivable, they'll move. Even if the port is still technically making money, it's ecological failure.
And that's what happened. It wasn't a sudden collapse. It was just this slow emptying out.
A slow, painful withdrawal. By the 18th century, everyone knew the place was toxic. The government started moving all its functions to Panjim.
Which was a better location.
Much better. Higher ground, better sea breezes, better sanitation. So Old Goa wasn't sacked, it was just decommissioned. It became this monumental, empty shell.
And that brings us to the experience of being there today. The research we saw argues that the silence you feel there isn't just emptiness, it's evidence.
That's such a powerful way to think about it. It taps into ideas from environmental psychology. When you remove the noise of a bustling city, all the carts and the shouting and the commerce, your senses change.
You notice other things.
You notice the scale. You become acutely aware of the size of these buildings and, more importantly, the vast spaces between them. That absence of people becomes something you can almost feel. The silence itself tells the story.
Which is why you can't just do a drive-by tour.
Yeah.
The sources all say you have to do a heritage walk.
You have to, because ruins without a story are just rocks. The context makes them legible. You need to walk those distances on foot to really get a sense of the original city's logic.
And its fatal flaw.
Exactly. The walk connects the dots for you. You move from a church to a convent, and you start to link the architecture to the trade that paid for it, the religion to the politics it served, and
the disease to the bad planning that let it all fall apart.
Right. It gives you this complete physical understanding of the whole story, from rise to ruin, in a way just reading a book never could.
So what's the big takeaway here? For me, Old Goa feels like this profound lesson about what permanence really means. A city isn't just built on wealth or faith. It's built on ecology, on health, on being able to adapt. And a walk through those ruins is like this tangible encounter with incredible ambition and incredible vulnerability.
It really is. And it makes you think. It makes me wonder what modern cities, with all their wealth and gleaming skyscrapers, might be harboring their own hidden vulnerabilities.
Like what?
Well, issues with sanitation, rising sea levels, pollution, failing infrastructure, things that could lead to their own slow, quiet decline a few centuries from now. It's a provocative thought to leave you with.
That is a powerful thought to end on. A reminder that history is never really in the past. But before we sign off, we do have a resource to share.
If you decide to travel to Goa, we have a recommendation. 5 Senses Tours organizes tours across India, which are immersive cultural experiences. You can email contact@5sensestours.com. Note 5 is written as a numeral in contact@5senses.com or WhatsApp to +919 8456774446.